hey, it's short. Listen, you're not responsive. You're not delivering on what we need to properly promote this new album. It seems you've sort of pushed your whole career aside to make videos, and it's great. You got a lot of views. I love the videos. I would encourage you to get back in the game, to pull your head out of your ass. But the reality is you're a much better musician than you are an editor. You're also a much better entertainer than you are an editor. And I'm not going to let you fuck up the last 3 years of my hard work, my team's hard work. The label's been asking for quotes. The label's been asking for interviews. And you're ignoring everything. And you're hurting yourself. You can't survive on making videos with whoever.
Andy, it's Mike at Cameo. I'm looking at an email that I got complaining about a Cameo you sent yesterday where, according to this recipient, you were completely nude chugging a bottle of Jameson. We've gone over this. I called you last month. You can't do stuff like this. You have to adhere to our guidelines. You can't be nude. You can't curse at the people. Can't do any of that kind of stuff. We're going to remove you if you don't adhere to the guidelines. If you have any questions, go to your page on the site. Everything is there. There's tons of FAQs. There's a lot of rules. Please just follow them. I don't want to remove you from the site. We have a lot of requests for you. I want you to be able to earn a living, but you just can't be completely naked. Call me if you have any questions. Otherwise, just see the page on the site.
Old middle-class Frasco.
You're not rich in LA unless you're making, what, $1.5 million a year? I'm being serious. Like,
no, my dad doesn't make that much money.
No, I know. I'm saying, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not rich in LA unless you're making, like, over $1 million a year, I feel like, now.
And we're back. Andy Frasco's World Saving Podcast. I'm Andy Frasco. This is my co-host, my confidant, my ringleader, my hype man, my guy.
Yes, you didn't say show pony.
No, you're not my show pony. I'm your show pony.
Yes.
I just learned that.
You're not, yeah. I've been trying to explain to you what a show pony is. You keep calling managers show ponies. It's like, no, you're their show pony.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think about whoever makes me money is my show pony.
I get that, but you're making them money.
True.
You don't get 85%.
Let's go! Frasco business is booming right now.
You're not getting 85% of what they make.
You know what I realized?
What?
I never talk about you.
What made you realize that? Last week's episode? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, for real.
I keep listening, and like you say things that like you're trying to like talk, and I just like don't even hear it and just keep talking about myself.
I know. I'm such a good person for never pointing it out. I'm just glad to be here.
I just want to say thank you for being a friend. Come on, baby. It's Tuesday. Right. We're feeling good. And we started from the bottom. Now we're here, girl. Oh yeah. I just want to.
This is my butt right here.
Ooh. That's so hard to nail. It's always. Oh, that's my favorite lick.
Wow.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
So how you doing?
You did ask me about beating off last week. That's the only time I get to talk about myself.
You know what? It's been nice to. You're finally being vulnerable with me.
What do you mean?
Just like, you used to just cut that right off.
Yeah.
Now you kind of talk about.
Well, now I'm getting paid.
Oh, true.
And when you weren't paying me, no. We're not talking about jerking off. I'm not just going to like talk about my personal life for free. I had a good weekend. I played a crawfish boil that had no crawfish because you heard that right, people.
Right. They had no crawfish?
Yeah, it's not their fault. So, like,
see, I told you this was sketchy.
Yeah, I got paid. It was like during the day, So here's
who has crawfish in Denver.
No, here's the thing. So I'm getting to that. You're doing the thing
again. Sorry.
I'll tell the story about the thing where I was there and you were not. So you were wondering about how they get crawfish.
Okay, never mind. Keep going. I thought I was muted the whole time.
Oh,
but
God, good, because that was so good. Right. That would have been funny if you were muted the whole time, considering what we were talking about. Oh, okay. So you know how you were asking how they get crawfish here. So what happens is they don't freeze it like I thought, like they do with the sushi fish. That's really good. They fly it live.
Right.
Which is now, as of 10 days ago, illegal.
Fly it live? Oh,
they
so
put
they're
them in
alive?
They're alive the whole time.
Why is that illegal?
I don't know. Some new federal government, the government stepped in.
Seems like animal cruelty.
I guess, but I don't know. I don't know the reason. It might have something to do with the species and
A live crawfish should not be 20. Oh, that's probably it. Some agricultural thing.
It's the Democrats, basically. No, I'm just kidding. They still had shrimp, and they still had like the andouille sausage. It was like a boil.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that stuff. It was just funny that like people were like, "Oh, there's no," and so it wasn't very well attended because of that.
They're taking our land. They're taking our jarbs. They're taking our crawfish.
We need our farmers, though, of America.
Yeah, I do. I agree.
What's that sound? Oh, lawnmower. Lawnmower man.
It's Tuesday morning.
Every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday. But it doesn't do my house.
Why? You don't pay for it?
Oh, yeah, I got to pay for it.
They don't just come around and do lawns for free. It's not a charity event.
I don't know. Sometimes they'll just do it and send me a bill.
Oh, yeah, that's what I would do to you.
Yeah, just say, hey, you look like you need some.
If I did anything with a mile of you, I'd just start sending you invoices.
That's what happens. That's what
all your other friends do.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Andy. Lakers won.
Lakers are fucking killing it.
But let's not get too excited. Because we had.
I know.
I can because I'm not a true Lakers
fan.
But
this is going to come out in like 4 days, so they could have win the series.
They could, but they could also be 3-3.
So I'm going to be excited about it. Lakers, let's fucking go.
You're going to Florida.
I know.
You're going to like this place.
Sugar Shack session.
My grandma and grandpa bought a place there in '92, right?
Bonita Springs.
Yeah, it wasn't. Now it's like this super posh kind of between Naples and Fort Myers.
Supposedly, Little Stranger did this session and blew them up. So maybe we'll gain some more fans.
Yeah. So they bought a house there in '92 and it popped off.
Is it like a retirement home?
No, it was like no. They weren't that old.
Is it by the beach?
Yes, close to the beach.
Oh, sick.
So they had a house there. It's like she sold it. Now she's in a assisted living home. She's 92.
Maybe I should extend my flight
and just hang out. I mean, it's all old people. It's not like a fun part. It's not fun there.
To be hot take.
Hot take? Not a big beach guy, huh?
Florida kind of freaks me out.
Ooh, I see. I'm the opposite.
You like Florida?
Yeah, I like it. I like how anything goes there, man. They got gators. They got white trash. They got crazy people. They got bath salts. They got fucking the Miami Dolphins. They got, you know what I mean?
They got Ace Ventura.
They got Ace Ventura. Like, that could be real.
Yeah.
If Ace Ventura existed, I would only believe it if he lived in Florida. That's why that movie works.
How many guys in Florida do you think look like Dog the Bounty Hunter?
I think there's a lot of women in Florida that look like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Chill. I mean, not that one. Chill the fuck out. Speaking of that, we are announcing our Florida tour.
Florida tour. I love Florida.
End of summer.
I'll go to Florida for a month.
I do. The shows have always been fun. The people have always been fun. I don't know why I'm so worried about it. I thought they'd be like racist. Everyone talks about Florida man. Ugh. But then there's a bunch of Jews out there that,
It's literally the other Jewish part of America.
Yeah.
It's New York City, and then they go to Miami.
Oh, respect. So shout out to Florida.
They go to Miami to die.
All right. I'm fine with Florida.
They have everything. Cubans, Jews, white people.
I should roll there more.
There's a lot of black people.
Maybe I'm just afraid of humidity.
Humidity sucks. I'll give you that.
That's the worst.
I grew up in that. Is it L.A.? Maybe?
No, it's dry as fuck.
Oh, it is.
Desert.
Okay. I just thought maybe because it's right off the ocean.
No, it's dry.
Indiana, very humid, so it sucks. I'm loving this time of year in Denver.
Yeah, me too.
Sun's out, 75.
I wish I could leave my house more. I work like a dog. I'm so fuck. I yelled at Beau.
Texting drag queens all morning.
I've been thinking about it the last 2 days. Beau, I'm sorry. I called I was just so stressed out. These guys are just getting wasted on a Sunday at Cherry Cricket. I'm like, my team is so incompetent when they're drunk.
Yeah, says you.
But no, I work hard when I'm drunk.
Okay, but let's not act like you're a welder. Once
I know.
Again,
I fucked up.
You've been working hard all morning DMing drag queens.
Yeah. Low serotonin. That was my fault, Beau. I didn't mean that. You're a fucking great worker. I love you. But you're also stressed out and shit, and you're like, you're so worried about if I was doing all right because I just got off a New Orleans bender. Yeah, I was dead. I was a little dead, but I'm back. But I just want to apologize for
I don't think you can hurt
calling
Beau.
you incompetent because you're not incompetent. You're a fucking great worker, and I love you.
I don't think you can hurt Beau.
No, I did hurt him. I felt it in his eyes. His eyes sank a little bit. It did, right? It hurt.
Oh my God.
She's like, he texted Phil.
I don't think you've ever really gotten mad at me like that.
No. Well, no, sometimes I got annoyed at you once.
Yeah, once
on tour.
In 2 years.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you've never blown up on me though.
Yeah. You know what else is not annoying at all? Dialed in gummies.
Oh, yeah.
Volume isn't annoying at all. They love us, dude. Shout out to volume.com.
I'm obsessed with
They're
them.
just letting us be us, and we fucking love that. As artists, creators, journalists.
Talking about beating off.
Yeah, I was like, how about this for the breakout this week? Just us beating off. They're like, I love it.
Yeah,
Here's
because
it,
it's
here's it.
interesting.
Yeah.
People like that. Anyway, people like that. Everyone jerks off. Guys, get over it.
I get texts from Brian. Yeah, you fucking. Why'd you do a message that you're beating off?
Because that's what people like on the internet. They like dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want us to talk about? The presidential election? Who cares?
Yeah,
It's going to be the worst one ever.
I am worried about Tennessee, Florida, everyone banning these LGBTQIA.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, I'm not a fan of the Republicans.
But why are they doing that?
Because, I don't know. It's religion, basically, I think.
Yeah, they're not allowing that, but they allow titty bars.
Yeah.
and it just in like strip clubs.
I mean, we can sit around and just point out, that kind of stuff for hours.
Well, we're here to fight.
All they do is contradict themselves.
We're here to fight.
I don't care what you believe. Just don't be a hypocrite.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I think about too. Don't be a hypocrite.
Which is pretty impossible. I do it all the time, but like,
Yeah, true. I do.
they're doing it on like on a fucking extreme level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, especially if you're a Catholic, let's lay off the drag queens. Okay, I don't know. Watch Spotlight.
This rant was sponsored by Dialed In Gummies.
Dialed In Gummies.
Dialed In Gummies, Denver, Colorado. Go grab yourself some Dialed In Gummies. They're the greatest. They are the greatest. I just had one last night when I was all, the Lakers were won, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep, but I knew we had an early morning podcast, so I was like,
11.
11 a.m. But so I took one. I fell asleep perfectly. They are the perfect dose every time. I like taking a half before to go to bed because my mids tolerance isn't the greatest.
I've been just hammering them lately. I've been taking them during the day.
You might be addicted.
They're fun. They make me feel good.
That's addiction.
Yeah, but I can also not do them for 2 weeks and not care. I haven't done it.
I don't think you could do that.
I haven't had one for like.
To be honest, I really don't think you could do that.
Okay, Andy.
If I can't do it, you can't do it. You want to do a test?
I'll go longer. See,
2 weeks, no Dialed In Gummies. I'll go 2 weeks without.
Yeah, what are you gonna go without for 2 weeks?
Fuck. Drinking?
No, I'm not doing that. There's no way you can go 2 weeks without drinking. I did that last month. I went like a month without eating. Remember? I was trying to stabilize my tolerance a little bit. I didn't do them for a month. So you're already wrong. Plus, you're an alcoholic. You're a real alcoholic with problems.
You're a real weedaholic.
Yeah, that's not a thing. That's not a real thing.
No.
It's not a physical dependency.
No, if you're calling me an alcoholic, you're a weedaholic.
Fine, I'm a weedaholic. It's way less embarrassing than being an alcoholic. Actually, it's not.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just kidding. I'm so sick of potheads being like, it's medicine. You're addicted, okay? You're addicted to weed. It's fine. You get in a bad mood when you don't smoke weed at 10 in the morning.
It's like those people who do ketamine all the time. They're like, yeah, it's helping me.
Yeah, when a doctor gives it to you and it's like a certain dose.
Yeah. Not when pounding a gram of it at the Disco Biscuit concert.
Yeah, not $300 worth over a Red Rocks weekend. I'm not depressed anymore.
That's abusing it, people.
I'm not depressed anymore. Well, you're going to be depressed as fuck on Wednesday.
I could say that about mushrooms.
Yeah.
I took a break on mushrooms and I took like a 2 week break.
Yeah, we're all a bunch of hypocrites, basically.
But it was nice to take that 2 week break for the tolerance reason. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't
so you don't
care.
have to eat that much.
I think people should just get fucked up all the time, and who cares? Like, who gives a shit? What else? You gotta find something to feel good in this world.
Gerlach 2024.
I want to.
America's gonna get fucked up.
I've been thinking about running for
Take your drugs, people.
mayor of Indianapolis.
Gerlach Frasco 2024.
In roughly 10 years, I want to run for mayor of Indianapolis.
Mayor of Indian. That's a big city, bro.
I think that's in play. I think I could pull it off in 10 years.
I think you need to go smaller. You need a smaller town.
Fuck that. What we talked about earlier, we don't go small.
Yeah, we stay up.
Am I trying to win? No. Maybe. I could win.
Yeah, I just watched Man of the Year with Robin Williams, where he's
that's
like
a good
kind
one.
of the
He's a
Jon
comedian.
Stewart.
Yes. I'm going to man of the year in Indianapolis. Here's what I have working in my favor. They haven't had a good mayor in like 50 years, right? Because it's a big city.
Yeah.
Two, I think I'm funny enough that I could probably make it a joke and make people, it's not that big of a city. Don't make a million.
No, you can't joke about politics.
Sure I can. Why? Donald Trump was president for 4 years. He called Ted Cruz the Zodiac killer during a debate.
I know, but like,
And it ruled.
who did it? Well, Al Franken.
Yeah.
He killed it. But didn't it get canceled?
I want to annex Carmel. So that's my.
Did Al Franken get canceled?
Yeah, but it was total bullshit. It was like a tit for tat thing. He like pretend honked a girl's boobs on a USO comedy tour. Even she was like, "This is what."
Yeah.
It was payback for one. They like every time a Republican gets canceled, they have to cancel a Democrat. It's like a back and forth.
Speaking of political campaigns, my new single "You Do You" is out right now. Go
good.
listen to it.
I watched the video. Actually.
You liked it?
Yes.
It's getting traction.
I like the video more than the song.
It's on. We got 7 radio stations right now.
I would watch the video, and then because you can hear the song too and see the video. It's a good video.
Thanks, buddy.
You had some cool stuff going on in it. I thought
it was good. I thought Danny Barbieri killed it.
She's a genius. Huh?
Yeah, we talked for like an hour last night.
She's very talented.
Very talented.
She has a new hot boyfriend, huh?
Oh man, I love him.
God,
he was in the music video.
I haven't met him.
Handsome.
That guy's good looking.
Fucking
man.
handsome.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of being yeah. Let's do the volume.com pitch because it's already 15 and I don't know how long
is this Manny Folky?
No, this is the Hold Steady.
Okay, yeah.
The Hold Steady, cult classic band. You're gonna love this one.
They are a cult classic band.
They are. They're huge in like London, and they do this thing in Williams at Brooklyn Bowl for 3 nights. I think it's called like the Big Night Out or something like that. I probably fucked up that promo, but Hold Steady's a great band. They've been around forever.
When I researched them, I realized something about them. They're not a jam band, right? Like musically, but they're sort of touring patterns and business is sort of jam band.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
They do the culty thing. They'll go somewhere and play for 3 days. They have like, it's very like Disco Biscuits energy, like in how they market and promote and tour. I thought that was kind of interesting.
But anyway, volume.com. Speaking of music, let's do the volume.com pitch because we love them and we want to do it right.
I'm pulling up these new...
Ben sent us some notes about what we should talk about.
Here they are.
By the way, volume.com wants to thank everyone who listened to the stream, the NOLA Funk sessions.
Yeah.
That was fucking amazing. So if you want to go to volume.com and watch our face, we're happy to this. You want to see our happy mugs. Go to volume.com/Andy Frasco. We have all the podcasts archived in video. If you want to rewatch your favorite artists, you want to see their face, their facial expressions, because I know a lot of people listen to it on Apple Podcast and Spotify, yada, yada. Go check out volume.com. Go check it out. Our studio is in my house. You can go see all these awesome art I've collected over the years.
They still have all the old NOLA
they still have the streams. And our show is badass. Anders Osborne. God damn, that was sick.
I didn't realize how fucking... I never checked him out.
Yeah.
Honestly, like... I just like don't... I used to have like a bad feeling about him because of something happened at a show.
Right.
But it wasn't him, actually.
Right.
But we like did a late show for his early show. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So I never got into him. I didn't realize he's like the man, dude.
He's
like,
the man.
That song that you were playing, I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
It was like a masterpiece.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Coming Down. Amazing.
A masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's like this so slow.
We got to get him back on the show.
He was really working that groove with beats. He would like try to lay it back.
Yeah.
And Beats was trying to find it. But I was like, no, don't find it. He's doing that on purpose. You're in New Orleans.
Yeah. Exactly. So volume.com is streaming shows at a venue.
Bitter End in New York City.
Oh, they're streaming at Bitter End?
Yeah. They're doing a bunch of shows. They didn't give me any specifics. Just check it out.
Sick. Yeah.
So it's /Bitter End.
If you don't know Bitter End, Bitter End's like one of the most famous New York venues. It's like CBGB and all that stuff.
That's the one I haven't played in New York. I've played a lot of them. Have you ever played the Gramercy Theater? I love that one.
I haven't yet.
Least favorite venue I've played in New York?
Webster Hall.
No.
That's amazing.
BB King's.
I don't like the Cutting Room.
I don't think I've done that one.
Kind of jazz bar. I think it'd be good for podcast, Cutting Room.
Yeah. I've heard of it. I haven't been. I mean, Brooklyn Bowl Rules. I played there.
Brooklyn Steel Rules.
Yeah.
I like Warsaw, where we played.
That was awesome.
Polish.
Yeah. I was thinking. Yeah.
So head to volume.com and go watch some streams, or go watch us, or go over there and support the boys. They support us, so we want to help support them.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here.
You wear what you die in.
I got tour dates, guys. We're doing 15 music festivals this summer, and I just announced the fall tour.
And you're doing an Indianapolis festival. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
All in.
Oh, All In Music Festival. That's going to be cool.
I'm going back for that. I think I'm going to be doing a little after party.
We're doing the podcast, dude. This thing's driving
are
me
we?
nuts.
You said we might be doing the podcast.
No, we are.
Oh, that's why I should really formally announce my mayoral
Maybe
run
that'll be
10
the
years.
first bit.
10 years.
What would you...
just do some local, just local riff for about 10 minutes. Cool. You can just chill.
I love it. Thank you. Enjoy the Hold Steady. Guys, this band's amazing. I love them.
I'll hold your steady. Wait. What?
Hey, Chris, play some Hold Steady. I talked to the front man. He's the man. Yeah. And they dealt with alcoholism. They dealt with almost breaking up. I mean, they've gone through it all.
They're
and it
was
was nice.
UN.
And, to stay inspired, through every record to like keep the band together, keep it rocking. It was an inspiring story.
Yeah,
So
it's hard.
And he talked about his mental health with what's going on, and he's a single man and stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah. So no kids. I don't know if he's single, but he doesn't have kids, and
That's
he's like
single.
yeah. So you're gonna love this. All right, guys, enjoy the Hold Steady. Nick's running for mayor of Indianapolis, 2024, and I will be his vice mayor.
And go click on.
I don't know anything about Indianapolis though, but I do love the city, so I will definitely.
It's fine. It's a city. It's like Cincinnati, Indianapolis.
Should I get
Columbus.
Botox? Don't you need Botox as a politician?
No, I'm gonna be Hagrid. I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna be the real one. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll be the hot one.
You be the hot. Yeah, you'll be the hot.
You're the brains. I'm like you just
Andy
prance
Frasco.
me around to
You'll
all the
certainly be hot
dive
in
bars.
10 years. You'll certainly still be. Oh, there's some great dive bars.
I love a good dive
Alley
bar.
Cat. Mousetrap is technically a dive bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun thing to announce. Also, go follow my new Spotify band, The Coltet.
Oh, you have
I have one track up so far.
That's cool.
I'm going to do
that
like
name.
one a month or so.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. It's a good slow jam. You can fuck your wife to it or go to bed.
If you didn't know, Nick is a musician.
I know, no one knows. People think I'm a comedian, and I'm like, I'm not even that funny. Like,
Nick is a real musician. He was a musician. He studied at
I'm actually-
Juilliard.
Juilliard. I'm a direct descendant of Johann Sebastian Bach.
No, he's a great sax player, great songwriter. He did write Puff Break with me.
Bitch. I actually kind of started it.
He did.
Yeah.
I said I want like a Chance the Rapper style song.
3 hours later.
It doesn't sound like Chance the Rapper, so we won't get sued. Let's go.
Yeah, but it's a vibe.
We got to say that because Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, but you can be inspired by something. That's not.
I know.
Actually, it wasn't Chance the Rapper either, so it doesn't matter. But we'll not say who it was.
Mhm.
Someone else similar.
We
But,
just wanted like that hip hop, lo-fi hip hop.
Ed won that case.
Soulful.
Thank God he won.
He did?
You would have been fucked if he didn't win that case. Because if you can copyright chord changes, well, half your songs are blues. But who owns the
But
blues?
like, there's only so many chords. Like,
yeah, that's why you can't. That's why he won. You can't copyright 1, 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry. Go to hell.
yeah.
So did you think of 1, 3, 4, 5? No. Someone did it before you. God damn it.
Gerlach 2024.
Yeah.
Indianapolis Mayor will fight for your musical royalties as well.
Oh, yeah, dude. I'm bringing back the arts in India. I'm bringing back that whole thing. The 50s are back, baby.
Yeah, and we're going to legalize mushrooms.
Yeah, I'm down.
In Indiana.
I'm just going to make Indianapolis a...
We're going to change it from being a cop state to a woohoo state.
Hell yeah. I'm going to make it like a dystopian hellhole, but like fun.
Yeah.
Like, remember in Back to the Future 2 when he goes back to 1985 and it's just like a big casino?
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be like.
Hell yeah.
Except for Carmel's going to be paying for it.
Instead of Al Capone's, it'll be Frasco's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for it's legal.
We're going to bootleg mushrooms.
Yeah, it'll be like Vegas with NASCAR.
All right, goodbye.
Bye.
Hey, Craig, what's up, bud?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Are you in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn. I'm here for most of the month, which is nice. It's turning to spring and things are good.
Did you said are you guys going on the road soon or what? Were you
We've kind of been just with the Hold Steady. We've kind of been doing. We've kind of changed the way we tour a little bit.
Yeah.
We tend to do just residencies. We go to one city and play three shows or something, for the most part. So we're just kind of. I guess a few weeks ago we did a couple in London, and then we don't really have anything. We had some promo stuff. We were just on Seth Meyers and did an in-store at Rough Trade here in New York on Wednesday, and then we don't really have anything going on until we have a 3 in Portland at the end of the month.
It's great.
Portland, Oregon.
How do you think the chemistry of the band changed instead of like touring so hard into versus doing just these like 3-day residencies? Like, do you feel the camaraderie getting better, not so burnt out? Like, give us the scoop on that.
It's incredible. I mean, I honestly, since we've been doing this, which is like 5 years now, I don't know why more bands don't do it this way. I mean, first of all, there's an amazing community around the Hold Steady. So like, and we've been around for 20 years. So not only have we all gotten older, but some of the fans have gotten older too. So,
Right.
There's always that transaction of like, I can go to your small Midwestern city on a Monday night, but I know you have 2 kids and a job. So if we go on at 10 p.m., are you really going to be psyched?
No.
Or can we all meet in Chicago this summer for 3 shows?
Right.
And we're going to play, we have 140 songs now. So we're going to play wildly different sets each night. And we're all going to, be able to, and for the band, we're going to be able to hang out and have lunch with our friends and not, it's not going to be all about travel. And then it ends up being way more musical too. It's like at soundcheck, you're like, what's a song we haven't played in 9 years?
Right.
What can we pull out tonight that's really going to blow people away instead of like, does my amp still work? And it's really great. And, and from a business perspective, we do new merch for each of these weekends. So that's cool. And a lot of people travel, and a lot of people, like I said, the community, people see each other at these weekends, and they're kind of like, oh man, are you going to go to Chicago? Are you going to go to Portland? Are you going to go to Atlanta? And it ends up being kind of this community and culture that we've created that's great. And I think everyone's a lot less fried, let's be honest. I mean,
I feel you.
So I think there's a clear-eyedness to the band that I think wouldn't exist if we were trying to pull off 150, 200 dates a year.
Right. And it's like, it's that jam band philosophy. Like your band isn't really a jam band, but you guys throw this, like you run the business like a jam band, which is like, I think very inspiring for people outside of the jam scene.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I made a solo record. I made a few, but a number with Joe Russo. But I remember the first record I made with him, he was kind of talking about sort of how J-Rad was making, some of the decisions they make. And I was like, you know what? There's some really smart things in there. And how could I apply that to the Hold Steady? One of the things, because you're right, we don't really jam. It's not, there's a sense of that's sort of missing of the jam philosophy, but because we have such a big catalog now, we really can mix it up just by song choices.
And I think that's the beautiful thing. Like, I'm considered a songwriter, but I'm in the jam scene. I'm not really a jammer, but now we have like 120 songs, and I feel like I could still compete in this race of getting on all this jam stuff because we have the catalog now. Like 20 years in a band. You guys have been together. I feel like you have mostly all the same original members, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had a little bit of some switching up at the very beginning, and we had like we had some movement. There's been like 3 distinct parts. There was the first part where we kind of had a 5-piece lineup with Franz Nikolai on piano. Franz left, and Steve Selvage came in, and we placed with a guitar player. So then there was kind of 2.0 with Steve. Franz came back in 2016, and now we kind of have the super steady, which is everyone, six of us.
Like power band.
And it's all hands on deck, and in that sense, it's really good. And honestly, I can easily say that this is the best lineup. I mean, we've got all the strengths here. And that's been since 2016, which ends up being, this is now the longest lineup of the Hold Steady. So this is in some ways the classic lineup too.
How close are you with Franz?
With Franz?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, close. I mean, it's funny. We are all, this 20 years and we were putting together like a coffee table book, an oral history.
Yeah.
And so there's been a lot of reflection, and a lot of reminiscing and a lot of kind of taking stock. But I think the most amazing thing about the band is that we're all our friendships are intact, I mean, even Franz left the band for, I don't know, 5-6 years. I definitely understand why he would.
Why
I'm
did he
happy
do
to
it?
have him back.
Why did he do it?
Well, I think he wanted to pursue his own music. I mean, I'm the singer of the Hold Steady, and
Right.
and then there's multiple songwriters, and there's sort of that thing where it's like, I'm writing a lot of songs, and only some of them are getting played, and we were in a rough spot. I mean, I think like at that era, we were the wheels were coming off the wagon a little bit, from the heavy touring and all the other behind the music rock and roll things that happened to bands.
You get into drugs or anything? Like, was it alcoholism or any of that stuff, or no?
I mean, I think the band, I mean, the whole band was partying. I mean, that was kind of our thing.
Yeah.
You know, like it was, we wore it on our sleeves. We were drinking crazy amounts, I mean, when I look back at what our rider was, even, it was, I mean, it was cases and cases of beer, 2 bottles of Jim Beam, and all the stuff that goes along with it. So yeah, I mean, it was really, I mean, the drinking on stage itself, just during the show was excessive.
Right.
Not to mention, and there, at some point there was a film crew in 07, the first time we went to Europe, and I remember, I couldn't look at that footage for a long time, but a few years ago we showed it in London, and I saw it, and I was like, I had a huge glass of whiskey at sound check, in my hand. And I was like, that is a dark drink to be drinking at sound check, that is very brown.
Yeah, what do you think was making you drink that much during the day? Were you stressed out? Was it you felt like that was the rock and roll life? Like, what made you start drinking that early in the day?
Well, I think in the first part was like, I think that we'd all been in bands that no one kind of cared about. So I think the first part is like, you just want to do it all. People are giving you things, and you want to take part. And then there's just like and then from there it's like, wow, I don't feel so well today.
Right.
I maybe would feel better if I had a drink, but I mean, it wasn't that long into it that I think most of us realized that was like, this is unsustainable, and I think I want to feel better day to day, and also from the first part, like they're going to keep giving us this stuff,
right?
There's always more whiskey, and so you're never going to get to the bottom of it, and you should never feel like you have to take it,
right? Yeah, I reminisce with that quite well because, there's never a bottom. Like, do you remember the breaking point? Do you remember the show when you're like, we can't sustain this anymore?
I don't know if there was like an actual show. I remember before the third album, which actually ended up being probably our biggest album, Boys and Girls in America. Before the third album, I remember thinking, like, feeling pretty lousy, and my creativity. I found I wrote most of the stuff I liked when I was hungover. There's like a bleak, dark comedy that comes from being hungover. You're kind of like, oh, yeah, like everything's a little funny, but a little bleak and a little bit like it's just this. I don't know. It's actually an enjoyable dark comedy. It really fits into my sense of humor. But I was like, well, I can't just create when I'm hungover. Like, what if? And I remember being scared. I do remember being worried. Like, if I knock off drinking for a little bit, like, am I still going to be able to write songs or write songs that I like, write songs that, and there was like, there was definitely like a pushing through, and it ended up being totally fine.
Right.
It wasn't being hungover. I could tap into that sense of humor, if I wanted to, but I remember being concerned, and then it was like, and then you do a couple tours where you take it easy and you're like, wow, this isn't as hard, like,
right.
And this is maybe more enjoyable. I mean, I've over the years I've become a morning person.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
The only time I'm not is when we do play shows. Like,
right.
And that is the other thing. Like that's a little weird. That now, some nights I won't have anything to drink. I still drink some, but like it's nothing like what it used to. But even if I've played multiple shows in a row with no booze. Like right now, I always quit drinking for Lent. And right now it's Lent. It's like a holdover from my Catholic upbringing. Mm-hmm. And like, so, if we played a show, but what's weird, because I'm 51, is that I still feel kind of bad in the morning after a show, like physically.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a physical thing. I mean, it's a big rock and roll thing. I mean, and we play for almost 2 hours and like singing, shouting for 2 hours and carrying a guitar. It's like, I'm sore.
Yeah.
And I think about, what, I'm going to see Springsteen 2 nights from now. And I think about like, wow, what about in your 70s? What is that like?
Yeah. It's like, how do you keep a band happy through the 20 years? And how do you keep yourself happy through the ups and downs of the music industry?
Well, I think it sounds really weird. It sounds really like business-like or like, really dry, but I think there is something to really paying attention to supply and demand. And, I have friends that are in bands that are like I feel like touring their fans away. You know what I mean? Like there's only so much time you can roll through a certain, you take Kansas City. Like how many Hold Steady shows could we play in Kansas City before people like start to go, I think I'll see him next time.
Yeah, exactly.
And we really haven't played Kansas City very often. I that's why I'm choosing that one, because it actually doesn't apply. But like I think if you keep on the road, you can burn out. So that's one of the reasons sort of devised our sort of touring model. Because I think that you can, if you just kind of get in the I don't know, if you kind of you need to sometimes stop the supply to build up the demand.
Right. What about what about like, so I think that was why you guys were so important in the COVID era, because you guys would do these live streams that were such huge crowds. Like I had my show on fans.com as well. I did a dance party with Jonathan Healy, and we'd always talk about how Hold Steady was just, the live streams were just really popping, like they were really big. And do you think because of that philosophy of like kind of like draining the well a little bit and then putting out these great live streams, that it helped keep the growth of the band going through a time where you couldn't even tour?
Yeah, I think our philosophy generally is to make everything an event, right? It was never like, all right, let's get up in front of our computer and turn it on and play a couple jams on an acoustic guitar. Instead, it was like, let's pick a date 3 months from now and let's go to an empty Brooklyn Bowl, set up all the gear, film it right, and get everyone and time it. So the first one we did was to continue our Massive Nights tradition, which is our 4 nights at the Brooklyn Bowl that happens in the weekend after Thanksgiving each year. And that was kind of like, we have to do it,
Yeah.
And then we do one of those in London in March every year called the Weekender. And then we were like, well, you know what would be amazing? Let's do it again for the Weekender, but let's go on stage at 3 p.m. So it's 8
I love
p.m.
that.
at London.
I love that.
And so once again, we played for an empty room, but we said it's the Weekender, and we marketed it to our UK fans, which is a great fan base for us and a great community, and that was really cool, and it allowed people to know we were still thinking of them and that we missed them, but like we weren't. But also people. They all took advantage of the one time we did, or the 2 times actually, but the one time for each continent.
Yeah.
And, made sure they had plans and made sure they had, and honestly, so the first one, I think it was the first one, when I came off stage, there were monitors throughout the bowl, so you could see people.
Yeah.
They were holding up signs. We said, like, so hold up signs from where you're from. And I walked out into the bowling alley in the Brooklyn Bowl, and there's all these monitors over there. And Jonathan Healy, or whoever was directing it, was flipping through all the images, all the different places people are from. And they're holding up signs, and it was literally around the world. It was Italy, it was Germany, it was California, it was Massachusetts, it was Minneapolis, it was Colorado. And it was one of the most emotional moments I've had in the band. Like, it was like...
That gives me chills thinking about that. Oh.
People around the world are sitting in their living rooms, and they're holding up their pets, and they're holding up their signs, and kids are dancing. There's kids, which normally don't come to a Hold Steady show. So it was really beautiful. It was moving to the point of tears.
Yeah, and I'm gonna clap to that. Let's fucking go, Craig. I love that shit, baby. Let's pop off. Because that's how I felt too. It felt like you weren't as alone as you thought you were in your head. Especially when you got all these people from around the world, your fan base, your tribe, who you live for, as a musician and songwriter, to all be there for you in this empty ass Brooklyn Bowl at 3 p.m. It's like heroin style, where like you just walk into this dark ass Brooklyn Bowl, and it's beautiful, man. I love it.
Yeah, it was really cool. And the other thing that happened during the pandemic that I thought was like really cool was I happened to be in Nashville. I had to go in kind of the heart of the pandemic in like September, must have been September 2020, to do something. And it was weird to travel at that time. But while I was there, the Brooklyn Bowl was doing a live stream with St. Paul and the Broken Bones in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And they said, look, we're inviting a few small amount of people and you can come. And I hadn't seen live music in months, 6 months, 9 months. And so I walked into Nashville Brooklyn Bowl and, there was only about 20 people there. We were all spread out wearing masks. And when I heard the kick drum, it was like a moment. Like I was like, it felt it in my chest. And I was like, oh, that sounds really nice. I haven't heard a kick drum in a long time. And something about being in a room with live music again was really, really exciting.
Yeah. And the beautiful part about having distance from something is you appreciate it again. We don't, when we're doing something every single day and writing and doing this and the grind, when we're forced to take a step back, you're like, oh shit, I do love this. It's kind of morbid, but
Absolutely. I mean, it goes back to the supply and demand. You kind of like you lose. It's like being on a ship. You lose sight of the shore. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that coming down to dry land or something is important every once in a while.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of want to talk about the songwriting now. And I mean, you guys have 9 studio albums?
Correct. Yeah, this is the one we just put out is our 9th, which feels pretty crazy, but it's true.
Isn't it wild how fast life happens?
It's funny too, because it seems like it's exponential, meaning when you're 10, 15 is a long ways away.
Yeah.
But when you're 45, 50 comes like that.
Yeah.
And I think about like the length of people go to school. Like my friends have kids in college, and it's like they're going to college, they're done. And It's like, what? I thought they just went. I thought they're freshmen.
Right.
But it starts to move really quick when you're older.
Do you have kids?
No.
Are you thankful?
No, I mean, I think it could have gone. I mean, I think I see benefits to both.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly having no kids allows me to pursue things as artistically as I want to. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't. But I think that there's I worry and I wonder that if we are sort of biologically supposed to have children, and if there's something about our psyche that is incomplete without it, And I think in some ways having as far as like a relationship goes, having a mutual, like a project that you're both working on together, like your children, is probably good.
What was the hardest record out of the 9 records you guys done together? What was the hardest one to really put a finish to? Either was it emotionally draining, maybe you're burnt out on the road. What were the couple records that seemed the toughest?
There's 2 that comes to mind. The first is, and they're right in a row, and it was kind of in that 2.0 period I was talking about. It was Heaven is Whenever, and Franz left, and I think we were trying to figure out what it would be like. And I think that the first 4 records we made was kind of like, this is kind of epic, and then the next one was like kind of epic, and then the next one was a little more epic, and then the 4th one, and then we got to this point where it's like you can't just keep doing epic, you know what I mean? You're going to reach the point. So what I think in hindsight we should have done with Heaven is Whenever is we didn't really have a plan, and we kind of tried to self-produce it, or we kind of went back to working with a friend rather than like the 2 records before that had been produced by John Agnello, who's a real producer with some levity. And I think we thought we could do it ourselves, but we couldn't. And I think we just didn't. No one was kind of like. I think to me, being a producer, I think leadership is the big thing,
right?
And and it got like it needed a leader and it didn't have it, and we didn't have things together really, and we were kind of, in hindsight, I think what we should have done, I talk about this a lot, but I think in hindsight, we should have made one of those records that a band makes, for their fifth. It was our fifth record. I think we could have made a record that was maybe like showed a lot of personality. Like I'm thinking of records such as London Calling by The Clash or Exile on Main Street by the Rolling Stones, where it's a double album and it's kind of sprawling and some of the songs are really great and some of the songs are just a little off the cuff and it shows you, Sweet Virginia by the Rolling Stones, where it's like they just sound like they're having fun, and maybe the pressure's off a little bit. And the London Calling has a few of those. The band Big Thief made a record like that a couple like last year or the year before that sort of seems like that. There's kind of some fun songs and then there's some serious songs, but there's a lot of songs. And it's not like this big epic statement, it's more just like, here's us recording a lot of music. Do you want to see? And I think we could have done that and it would have been better, but instead we kind of just didn't know what we were doing. And so that one was like kind of a mess. And when we reissued it a few years back, and I went through it, and I did a lot of work on the reissue because that was the thing, we did record a lot of music for it, and we cut it down to a single album. And I was funny because when I went through the lyrics, the words, I thought it might be our funniest album in a way, but we were having a lot of problems internally. So the funny lines weren't sort of matched with any feeling of joy on the record. So it kind of all fell flat,
It's like self-deprived. It's like comedians who just make fun of themselves and you look back and you're like, oh fuck, that was actually pretty sad.
Yeah. Well, we also had this thing at the time that like Gail and our bass player and I were always riffing on what we called the cosmic philosopher, and that's kind of like a rock and roll thing, like Jerry Garcia or Robert Hunter kind of have a lot of those lines that are like kind of homespun wisdom, like they're on the front porch and they're telling you how the world works. And I was like, I kind of had this kind of thing I was riffing on, like, yeah, man, cosmic philosopher. I'm gonna and I think I was hung up on the fact that our fifth record, all of a sudden we felt like Elder Statesman or something. So I a lot of bands don't get to their fifth record. So I was throughout the record, I feel like I was giving advice. It feels like I didn't really feel like, in hindsight, I was in a position to be giving advice. Like it was like some asshole older brother thing, like, "Hey kid, here's how you do it," That wasn't great.
Young Padawan, please.
That wasn't.
Let me give you some advice, my young sons.
Yeah, it was like, what am I doing? Like when I listen back, well, who did I think I was, and what did I think people wanted from me? And then the next record was a little hard too. We got a little stuck, and it took a while, and we went. That was called Teeth Dreams, and that's kind of just like sonically. I think when I look back. The last three records we made with this guy, Josh Kaufman, I don't know if you know him, but he's a great producer. He's made my solo records too. And he always says, hey, we want rock and roll, but we don't necessarily want rock. And I was like, that makes sense to me. I don't know what it means exactly, but rock without the roll is, I think, what we maybe ended up with Teeth Dreams. Maybe it's a little hard rock. Maybe it's a little bit modern or something in a way, but it doesn't sound as fun as, again, I think a Hold Steady record. I think a Hold Steady record should have, even if it's got dark topics or whatever, I think it should sound fun. And I think,
right.
I think that I think you can tell when we're having fun.
Yeah, I mean,
I can.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, how can you have fun when you're in this existential dilemma with your band? Your boys just broke up. It's like everyone could smell shit from a mile away. When we're full of shit about being happy, when we're sad. Maybe that in your head you weren't really that happy during those times to make fun records because your boy was gone. You're probably sleep deprived and you drinking. It's like it's probably it was an avalanche of stuff.
I have sort of this thing I tell myself always, which is like, if you think you're getting away with something, you aren't. But if you think everyone's paying attention to you, they aren't either. You know, I mean, meaning like if you think you're fooling someone, you're probably not. But also if you wake up like one morning, you're like, did I make a fool of myself? And you're like, no, everyone else is thinking the same thing this morning. Everyone else was paying attention to themselves, you know?
Right.
But you don't get away with things, and you can't say like, hey, this is our record. We're really happy. This is great. Like, you know, if people listen to that, I'm like, no, you aren't. No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why is there so much pressure to just always put out new content, even if we're not happy with the results of it?
Well, I think my theory on that is 100% internal pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, maybe you may have someone who's telling you that, but like, you know, at least the way, in the modern music industry, at least the way we've structured it, we don't have anyone telling us anything about that kind of thing. And it's great. I mean, it's like, you know, maybe if I was younger or there was like a major label or something that was like, guys, you need this. And it's like, no one's ever telling me that, and hasn't been for a long time, which feels good, because then, you know, but you have to also, I think, this is me giving advice again. I'm back on Heaven as Whenever,
Young Padawan.
but I do think you have to listen to yourself, and I've found in my life most of the pressure I felt turned out to be from myself.
Right. Why do we put more pressure on ourselves versus putting pressure on anyone else?
I don't know. I think that's like one of the mysteries of life. But I maybe it's a little bit of a survival mechanism, man. Because like, you know, if no one was putting pressure on you, maybe you just, you know, you'd sit there until you grew old and died.
Yeah.
You know, you want to I feel like it's maybe good we put a little pressure on ourselves. But yeah, I think you have to kind of check in with yourself and say, is this happening? Does this pressure exist outside of my head?
Right. Well, you know, it's like, and then that goes back to your songwriting. Like it seems like you talk about a bunch of characters. You know, like you put in retrospect your character-based songwriting. I've always been curious. Like, what's the craziest story you've turned into a song?
That's a good question. I mean, because a lot of these songs are fictitious, but you know, they always start with sort of a small bit of truth.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, one of them, like one you know, let me think for a second, because there definitely gotta be something that I've thought about. Trying to think. I'm putting my own pressure on myself because it has to be great, right?
No, it doesn't. It's just a podcast. We're just talking.
I mean, you know, I was thinking. I knew this guy who was living in a house, his own house, but it got foreclosed on. Mm-hmm. And you know, and he was living in a house where the electricity and the gas had been turned off, but and they'd actually taken his car away.
Oh fuck!
And it was in the suburbs, so like there was nowhere you had to drive to places, you know, and it was like, and you know, things had gone poorly for whatever reason, and so. But I started thinking a lot about that, and I started to around that time I read about Ulysses S. Grant, who he'd come back from the army and
pre-presence,
like kind of. Yeah, but he was in the army, I think, and he came back to Galena, Illinois, where he was from, and the family had a business, and he did poorly. Like he had like debts. I think maybe, I don't know if it was gambling, but just like debts. He wasn't paying his bills. I think it's implied maybe he was drinking. He was not thriving.
Right,
and he did that for like 7 or 8 years, and things had gone poorly. And then the Civil War broke out, and he was like, well, you know what I can do? I was pretty good at being in the army, you know? or the military, whatever. And so he joined up to that again because he felt like that was a worthy thing. And when he joined, he started to thrive in the military, and he ended up becoming, a general. And then to that, he led the Union to the, victory and became the president of the United States. But he had this 7-8 years where he was really like not thriving. And so I wrote a song, and there's the in that Fitzgerald book. Oh, what's it called? Sometimes the Great Notion. There's a line in there that says like, I'm Grant at Galena, meaning he's failing. And so I wrote a song called Grant at Galena about someone who was living in a house that was foreclosed upon and didn't have electricity or gas, and they were walking to the store because they didn't have a car. And the chorus was kind of, I'm Grant at Galena, I need a new war. Because he needed direction,
Do you think everyone needs to fall off the horse to learn how to get back up on it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, life is long, so I don't see how anyone really avoids it. I mean, I think there's also existential crises that are part of it. I think about like, I like watching sports, and you think like, at 50, you see, they talk about like, a quarterback being really old at 32, or something like that. And you're like, that guy, it's gone really well for him. He's playing NFL football. He was great in college. He was great in high school. But for 32 years, 35 years, he's known only this. I bet you there's at very least, he's probably financially set, but at very least he could have an existential spiritual crisis coming up when he stops playing football.
Yeah.
I think everyone has their moment, and certain things are covered. Whether it's like maybe you already made money, or maybe you're confident about one thing in your life, or a few things, but something's going to happen,
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like maybe that was like a blessing in disguise that, you guys had that little hiatus with Franz to make you realize what you're missing.
Yeah. And, and not to get heavy on you, but,
No, get heavy.
So I woke up this morning, and I realized that today, 10 years ago, my mother passed away.
Oh, wow.
And that was a really, I talk about things that send you into an existential spiritual crisis. I had a very good relationship. My parents were married until she died. And the next few years, love and grief are like the two things, right? Like that I figure that in this world we don't really understand, right? Mm-hmm. We're very scientific these days. We do research and we figure out all these things. We figure out how to cure diseases and whatnot. Love is a mystery and grief's a mystery.
Right.
It's like, wow, what happened? I just fell in love. But grief was a weird thing for me. And, it was not as linear as I expected it to be, meaning like, I was with my mother when she passed away, and there was some part of that was beautiful. I was there, you know, and I got to say goodbye, and there was nice closure, and we already had a good relationship. But then I went home back to, she passed in Minneapolis, where I'm from, and I went home, and then, a few months later, it's like, actually what happened was, a few months later, some days were good, some days were bad, and then a few months later, my girlfriend, who I lived with, had brought a cat into our relationship, and that cat was kind of old, and that cat died in maybe 3-4 months later, and that was like, that one set me off. And like,
did you become close with this cat? Like you just connect with this cat? Like why did it set you off?
I think it was just another death, right? Yes, I like the cat, but it was like, why are these things keep dying around me?
Yeah.
And then it was just like, and then it was kind of a random good day, bad day kind of thing and the first real brush I've ever had with actual like mental health, like, wow, it was like that thing. It's not funny, but like, it's like that, like, wow, I really didn't do anything today. Like,
Right.
and I'm kind of a guy who gets things done. I have a to-do list, and it's like, wow, like my partner's a nurse, and she went to work and then she came home
Right.
and I really didn't do anything. I didn't even, I was supposed to do my laundry and somehow that didn't get done, and that was crazy to me. And and obviously I still miss my mom, but I'm I think like I've gotten to a different place with it. But like grief is one of those things when you talk about a spiritual crisis, like or an existential crisis, you can be taking care of yourself, but people around you are going to leave too,
Right.
and that will change your life.
Yeah. Are you scared of dying?
No, not so much. I mean, I guess I'm scared of being sick.
Right.
Whatever leads up to dying. That
same.
doesn't sound that great, most likely. But I don't really spend much time thinking about that. I mean, and
Yeah.
I do take pretty good care of myself. I'm not trying to brag, but like I do. I look around and I say I'm doing pretty good. And at least my mom passed away pretty young. She was 68, but I just got back. I was skiing in Snowmass 2 weeks ago with my father, who's 78. So
hell yeah, he's kicking it.
He's doing great. Yeah. So things are pretty good on that end. So I have at least a pretty good chance of doing that.
Yeah, and going back to you realizing you haven't done anything that day during the passing. Do you think it was like your first realization of depression?
I think I've always had like depression is something I've always I've never been diagnosed with actual depression or been medicated or anything, but it's something I can feel a gray sort of a grayness is the only way to explain it.
Yeah.
Coming over me unless I remain active. I mean that in some way, and I mean
Same.
exercise is one absolute way that it burns. It literally feels like it's burning it off.
Yeah.
Like when the sun comes through the clouds, that's what it feels like. And so if I start to feel it, I sweat. I do something and move it off. And but I don't think it's as I think I'm much more prone to being down than I am to have, anxiety.
Right.
I think I can, we all have anxiety on some level, but I think I can get that under control easier.
Yeah.
But the depression, and when I was a kid and, smoking weed a lot and, all that kind of thing, like college,
Right.
that was maybe where you'd get depressed. I wouldn't move around as much and, and get out of bed late and that kind of thing, which, that's probably just teenage stuff.
Yeah.
But, when I look back on it, I think that also mixes in with depression.
Yeah, and as I get older, I smoke less weed I can't really smoke real high potent weed anymore because I'm in my head. And I'm like, I feel the gray cloud coming back when I'm, it wasn't like when it was having fun getting high when I was a kid. Now it's like, oh, here it comes. Tidal wave.
It really sucks because I actually feel a it's not an alcohol hangover, but there is a hangover if I was to smoke weed. So it's kind of there's not much of it, and it's a fogginess that clarity and energy is what I'm kind of into now.
Yeah.
Again, when you wake up early and you become a morning person, you're I have the whole day in front of me. And I find creatively, if I'm writing,
Way more
everything
clear-headed.
before lunchtime's better.
Yeah. I love it too. I love writing in the morning. I mean, when I'm not all, hungover, strung out, I mean, I fucking work because I can't work at night because it doesn't make sense to me. And, and that you brought up a good point of that because the first half of your records were a lot about partying and fucking getting down to nitty gritty. Then the second half is really about mental health and focusing on internal self-being. How is do you enjoy the approach of talking about mental health now that you've experienced all those years of partying?
I think what it is I've realized they're two sides of the same coin. I mean, you're like you're myself or a friend who's you're 22. It's like that's partying, and then at 42, it's like, man, he can't stop partying. Like what is it? And then you realize
That's me, dog.
why is that? Why is that? Someone I knew put something online that I thought was really wise, which was like, make sure your partying's in order in your 20s, because in your 30s it can come home to roost.
Right.
And I think that's probably good advice. I think that you can go pretty crazy on your 20s, but like keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
And I think that mental health ends up being the root of all these things. I mean, I joked with a friend, but it's very true. It's like, I think when I was first writing songs, I was really interested in the guy who was, maybe doing a lot of drugs. Now I'm interested in, why his grandma gives him $200 every day so he can go buy drugs, and what that codependent relationship is, and like all the mind games around that,
And if the grandma knows what he's spending the money on.
Yeah, she sort of does, but he's got her on like all these guilt trips, and
manipulation and shit.
And it's his dad's fault, and that's her son, and she feels bad because she doesn't,
Yeah.
It's all this like psycho stuff that that fascinates me at 50.
Yeah.
Where at 25 I was like, it's awesome, people getting wasted.
Yeah, and with that fascination, did you realize if you're doing that type of manipulation to your band to keep everyone going during the strung out years?
No, I hope not. I mean, I think, the thing about being in a band is there's like as, and I don't know if I said it ever felt bad, but like, if there's things that felt less fun, but there is something about, and I think you'll relate that like, even after a bad travel day or just a bad whatever relationship day, you get on stage, you put on the guitar, you get behind your instruments and you start playing, and it's like, okay,
yeah,
this is good. This part is good. Like the other 22.5 hours were really hard today, but this is good.
Yeah.
And if we can continue to do this, we'll at least have this every day or most days. And every time I've sort of felt bad, I've always been pulled back from that. And I think, some part of that struggle, when there was struggle, was building things to be able to get where we are now, where we have been able to eliminate the things that we don't find as fun,
Yeah, totally. And, it's like, and our taste gets better. It's like we used to enjoy just getting fucked up and not remembering. And now we want to remember and have more substance in our life,
Yeah. I mean, like, it's like, like people are, people are going to, when we do these weekends, like, it's like, what'd you do today? Oh, I went to see this thing at the museum. It's like, oh, wow. We never used to do that. We used to like crash in the van,
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm actually going to read a book today and learn a little bit about myself instead of nursing a hangover from the 4 a.m. bender.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. I know we're running out of a little time. I want to talk about this new record. What are you talking about on this album? What do you what do you want? What knowledge do you want to give the people? What stories you want to tell the people? Give it to me, Craig.
Well, I think that the record's called The Price of Progress, and I think what it really relates to is like kind of how where we're at now with technology has, we've made so much improvements in technology. They've improved our lives in a lot of ways. They've made us very, very efficient, but at some cost. And I think a lot of our problems in our, in our culture, in our world, are us kind of reeling from these advances in technology that we've had. And I think that's one part of it. We're talking about mental health. That's certainly a lot on the record, but there's this idea of sort of late stage capitalism, where we're at with, work and money and income inequality and all that, and how it relates to technology. And I think like this late stage capitalism, for instance, has always been sort of the backdrop of Hold Steady songs. I think on this record, the backdrop's taken like 3 steps forward. And now the actors are kind of bumping their elbows on it, the characters in the songs. And I mean, the first song is called Grand Junction, and that's about a couple that's driving around out west, to Grand Junction, Colorado. They're just driving around aimlessly, but they're fighting. And they're fighting because the woman of the couple has this Amazon wish list, and she's talking to weird guys online, and they're sending her gifts. And the dude's not that into it, but he's also kind of like, we need money, so maybe one of those guys could send you something, we could sell it,
Yeah.
And that's like, when we started the band, there was no Amazon wish list, but that's kind of like a new technology that we're kind of, that I kind of like have been thinking about. And also, those kind of stories are coming up from these things. And,
or OnlyFans.
A lot of the... Yeah, a lot of the songs on the record kind of deal with these, like the way we're trying to interface with this technology and trying to. I think a lot of people on the record are taking, like, rather than going with slow and steady, no pun intended, as far as the Hold Steady, but are taking big swings.
Yeah.
They're taking like it's all or nothing. It's like I'd rather win the lottery. Then I'd put all my money on this blackjack hand rather than go try to build something small and keep going. So I think it seems like I think it's our most au courant, our most modern record, our most topical record.
Yeah, and with that being said, what's your take on like Chat GPT and how everything's going out of like how it's turning into Terminator over here?
I think obviously there's a part of it that's scary, but actually, funny enough, I just interfaced with it yesterday for the first time. And it, one of the things that I thought is that it wasn't, at this point, it didn't make me feel like it was coming for my job quite yet. But a lot of my creativity is filling up a page with stuff and then moving it around. Meaning, like, first thing I do is I write a song, and that might be a bad song, and then I try to make it better. And the Chat GPT does kind of populate that page for you. So I wonder if there's an opportunity to use that to harness some stuff to make your own. To take out a step and make your own thing happen, because I think that what I saw is some of the it could display options for you if you wanted to go that way or that way in a way that was very quick, and you're like, okay, all right, well then that's right there. But when I looked at it, it also helped me. It spurred a lot of ideas for me that weren't on that page.
So did you like do a poem? Did you like say, like, hey, Chat GPT, what do you think of this track? Or what do you think of this poem? Or like, how do you think I should write this? Or how did you approach sending Chat GPT like your art?
I was with a friend, and he was kind of showing it to me, and he was like, write a song about this topic in the style of the Hold Steady.
Oh, really?
And it came out, and it wasn't good, nor did I think it like really sounded like the Hold Steady. But it was like, okay, well, that's interesting. That's what you
think it is.
That's like the most basic version of this. So like, what if we flipped it on its head? What would we change? You can almost go Mad Libs on it and say like, okay, now there's a structure.
Right.
Now, like, let's change it. Let's change every noun to make something more interesting,
Yeah, it's fascinating because, it's basically everything that's collected on the internet, what people said about you, what you put out. So it's like, it's kind of like if you either take it as insulting or you take it as like, oh, this is what people think of me. Let's fucking flip this whole motherfucker out. Let's flip the whole thing on its head and let's just change the whole thing.
Yeah, and like, but if you take it as that, some part of it takes some. Every time you're making something, you have all these decisions. Like, should there be 2 verses in the song or 3 verses? So you put it in Chat GPT, and it's like comes out with 3 verses, and you're like, okay, well, this song has 3 verses then.
Right.
You know, I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like that decision is no longer made by me. That's one way to approach it and say, like, I'm going to let this make a few decisions for me, but I'm going to make the most important decisions.
Right. Bring it on.
So-
All right, Craig, I got one last question and I'll let you go.
Thank you.
Through, when it's all said and done, what do you want the Hold Steady to be remembered by?
I think we want to be. I'm trying to say this in a I think we want to be remembered as a great rock band, with an even more amazing community.
Yeah.
Around the band.
Yeah. It's amazing the cult following you guys have through Europe or through London. We didn't even talk about how that got big. Like, how did that get big?
We went over there and it was in 07 and the record just kind of, that record Boys and Girls in America happened and we liked it. I think that's one part of it. We really liked it and we met great people and
Right.
people related to it and we did touring in mainland Europe and that we enjoyed that as well, but that didn't quite catch on as our shows weren't as big. But I think some of our London shows have been our biggest headlining shows ever, and
Right.
Throughout England we've had great shows, and so we liked it, and we just made a priority to come back. You know, and the community that I talk about, the community that's in the States, has its counterpart in England, and
Right.
actually they mix. Certainly
Are Americans
there's
coming to the
people in
Weekender and vice versa?
And definitely vice versa. But yeah,
Fucking
Americans
awesome.
are definitely coming to the Weekender in London, and tons of English people come to the massive nights in Brooklyn. And in both cases, people come from all around the world, which is pretty amazing.
Well, Craig, keep dream alive. You're the fucking man. I'm a big fan of you,
Thank
and
you,
just
Eddie.
keep writing tunes, man, and keep fighting the good fight about mental health, and keep just writing great lyrics. Because I could say I'm a fan, and I know a ton of your fans that just want you to keep doing it. So don't get burned out, okay, bud?
Thanks so much, man. I'm going to take care of myself.
Good. All right, let's have a beer when I get back into Brooklyn. We'll have a hang.
I love that.
Cheers, Craig. Thanks for being on the show.
Take care, man.
Later, bud.